Welcome to the Car Guys. This week an update on the Ferrari 488 GTB and also what it's like to be part of the Ferrari family. This 488 GTB, the hardtop, purchased brand new in 2018. This is the first brand new red Ferrari that I've ever bought. I spec'd it in Rosso Fuoco red outside metallic, which is a triple layer red, and it has a Nero Daytona black roof to make the whole car look lower down and also to ape the look of the LaFerrari. Now I have a confession to make. I haven't really driven this car that much. I've only done 1,000 miles. Why is that, Damian, you ask? The 488 wasn't especially a car that I was looking to buy. And this sort of ties into the whole Ferrari mystique, because shock horror, sometimes you need to buy cars that you don't necessarily want in order to get the ones that you really do want. That's not a Ferrari unique thing. Porsche in particular do this, McLaren has started doing this, and Lamborghini do this with the SVJ. So in this case, I really needed to own a 488 to secure my slot for a Pista. So as a result, I've only done 1,000 miles in this car. It's a lovely car, make no mistake, this is an epic, supreme supercar. Even though some people believe it's just a stepping stone between the 458 and the upcoming Ferrari, the new one, which will be announced in 2019, you struggle to find any real weak points with the 488, other than the inevitable engine note, which is strangled a little bit by turbos. But even that gives you a fairly satisfying growl. Yes, you can compare the engine noise to the 458 and decide that you don't like it as much, but you can't criticize it in itself. It's every bit as sonorous, if not more so, than a modern McLaren, for example. A similarly turbo-powered V8 car. The internal ergonomics and the interior in general is very much 458 plus, as opposed to something totally new, so now it's looking a little bit dated. It's got all the modern accoutrements that you would expect. The dials, of which we've got an analog tachometer in the middle which dominates proceedings, and it's flanked by 2 digital displays. It's funny actually how the announcement from Porsche in the new 911 that it would have mainly digital displays, that was met with such dismay from the Porsche community, including myself, I have to say. But yet actually, Ferrari's been doing it for ages. And to my mind, as Jason and I pointed out in our comparison video of the 458 versus the 488, I think the 488 is a prettier car externally. But that's not to say this isn't a great looking car. It really is. And the performance is astounding. This thing really, really shifts. Twin turbo V8. This is going to keep up with pretty much anything. See, that's serious thrust you get there. Oh, look at that. You get the red lights showing up in the steering wheel, which is still one of the coolest things in any car. Gear change response is near instant, particularly in race mode. Brakes have a lot more feel, they're a lot more confidence inspiring than the 458. I've got to be a little careful because the roads are a little damp, and strangely, fog has descended. I'm now driving through fog in a Ferrari. This is not ideal. Another great thing about the 488 is it has a lot of driver's aids. You can have a lot of fun, you can go extremely sideways, and yet still the safety net is there to hold you back from the Armco or the cliff edge. And it feels pretty planted to the road. So I mean, overall, I think if you own a 488, or if you're thinking about buying one, you're not really going to be massively disappointed. This is a magnificent modern Ferrari. The interesting thing will be how much of a step change will the new V8 Ferrari be when it's announced this year and probably on sale next year. So we're on the sort of roads that the 488 loves, which is long sweeping bends. Something where you can bring it out to its 7,000 RPM maximum. It really comes alive then. You get that Ferrari thing, the steering lightens up, you can feel the balance of the car. It's all about balance with Ferraris. Here's a little long-term ownership point. When you use your windscreen washers, and it's prodigious headlight washers, it just leaves residue from those tanks. All I can see is sputum all over the bonnet. So annoying. Now I'm going to have to try and wash it off. Despite all of that incredible speed though, I found this car a little bit clinical and a little bit soulless, which is a little bit blasphemy, I think, for a Ferrari, which is why I hope that the Pista can add that sparkle, can add that magic, can add that chili pepper to the 488 mix. I am so ridiculously excited for the Pista. It's just going to be such a glorious car, that, and of course you're going to come along for the collection. I think this car will be an instant distant memory. So what's it like to be part of the Ferrari family? Well, the first thing I should say, there is no question that the passion, the attention and the warm feeling that you get with the Ferrari family is unlike any other car manufacturer. In my experience, Ferrari is the best at making you feel part of something historic and part of something wonderful. That heritage, the events that they put on, the drama, the pomp and circumstance around buying a new car is second to none. That's why people like me go absolutely bonkers for Ferrari and end up owning 8, 9, 10 of them. Every one of them is another piece of history that you can take home with you and drive, particularly when you go to the factory and you really see how everything's made and you feel the history. All you want to do is experience more. All you want to do is own more Ferraris. Even with the cars that I have, believe me, I'm not really anywhere near the inner sanctum of Ferrari, but even at that level, it just feels so special. And I've not got that from any of the other manufacturers. I've owned 2 Lamborghinis, one of which a very special Valentino Balboni, which hopefully you've seen our episode on that. And even though Lamborghini has a huge amount of heritage, they're involved in racing just like Ferrari. The history going back to things like the Miura and the Countach and the Diablo, every bit as evocative in many ways in terms of the road cars, but yet as an owner I never got to feel special, I never got to feel that passionate. I had to bring the passion to that relationship. McLaren, I only own 1 McLaren. It is a special McLaren, the 675 LT, and I didn't get it from new, which I think maybe that's the difference, is that if you acquire the cars second hand, you're probably not on the manufacturer's radar at all. It's me that makes me feel close to Porsche. I've currently got the beautiful 1989 Turbo. That is a very special car. Do Porsche know I've got it? I don't think so. Do they know I've got a GT3 Touring as well? Doubtful. I think you've got to be Jerry Seinfeld to feel part of the Porsche family. It's a sort of chicken and egg situation. If they don't make you feel part of the whole company and experience and heritage, you're less likely to buy more cars from them, which is less likely to make them want to make you feel more part of the experience. So it's a very frustrating situation to be in. That is a classic example of someone hogging the outside overtaking lane with terminal intensity. The way to get into Ferrari's inner circle, their inner sanctum, and I'm not really betraying any confidences by saying this, what you need to do is, number 1, buy a lot of cars from Ferrari. They love you buying new cars, so don't think you can just buy old cars and get into that club. You have to balance between old cars and new cars. Secondly, if you also then own some of their more classic or notable iconic models, So an F40, an Enzo, an F50, a 288 GTO, anything from the 60s, 250 Lusso, 250 short wheelbase, 250 GTO. If you tailor-make your brand new cars, so if you buy your brand new cars and you add a lot of tailor-made options to them, that will also increase your ranking within Ferrari. If you finance your cars with Ferrari, doesn't matter if you pay them again off within 6 or 9 months, they will also give you some kudos points if you are part of their racing program. So if you own any historic Formula 1 cars, part of the Challenge Series, Corsa Clienti program, those again will also get you closer to Ferrari and closer to that inner sanctum, and therefore more likely to be offered those special cars. Those are the ways that you get into Ferrari's inner sanctum, that you start to get noticed, that you start to get invited to buy special cars. And I realise that many of you may be screaming, well, why the hell aren't you doing that then, Damian? And then you would have all the special cars. Because those things are ferociously expensive. Racing is expensive. You've got the car itself, and then you've got the cost of running it for a season. It's expensive to buy classic cars. It's expensive to buy historic Ferraris. It's expensive to buy all the latest Ferraris as well, to be honest. Bear in mind you're going to lose money on every single one that you sell. It's about understanding what the manufacturer wants and how you are therefore going to complement that. Because for the manufacturer itself, remember, they're in a real difficult spot because they've got lots of loyal customers and they've only got a certain number of these special cars. It must be a nightmare to work out who to give them to. It must be a nightmare. I do feel very sorry for them because you're going to piss off a lot of people. Talking to someone at Porsche, this is one of their biggest problems that they have, is trying to keep people happy, trying to spread out those special models. What's funny, of course, is they're telling me this and I'm one of the people who hasn't got one of the special models from them, so it must be doubly awkward for them to talk to me about it. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this update on the 488 GTB and discussion on what it's like and how to get into Ferrari's inner sanctum. If you like what you see, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe, leave likes and comments. We do read every single one. We reply to most of them, as you'll see if you look at any of our videos. Not many YouTubers do that. We'll be back for another episode next week.